Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with class 10 Footprints Without Feet. This is a supplementary reader, chapter 7, The Necklace. This is what we are going to do. The necklace. I think you all know what is a necklace. Alright, it is a jewelry that is worn around the neck. We'll go through this story and we'll come to know why this story has been titled The Necklace. It has been written by Guy de Maupassant. Alright, that is the pronunciation. Guy de Maupassant. He has written, he is a French author, writer, and he is very famous for his short stories. This story is about Matilda. We'll refer to her as Madame Loisel. And this story is about her desires. And because of her desires, what all things she has to face, all that we'll go through or we'll come to know as we read this story. Let's start. She was one of those pretty young ladies born as if through an error of destiny. Error of destiny means by mistake. There had been a mistake by fortune. That is why she was born into a family of clerks. She was born into a family of clerks. And the writer says, it seems that she was born there by mistake. She had no dowry, no hopes, no means of becoming known, loved and married by a man, either rich or distinguished. And she was born in a family of clerks, a middle class family, not much money. So there was not plenty of money at her house to marry her off to a big person, a famous person. So there were no chances that she would become known, famous. She would be loved by people all around her. Alright, she had no chance that she will be married to a man who is very rich or who is very distinguished, high post, famous, that type of person. And she allowed herself to marry a petty clerk. And what happened? She was born in the family of clerks and she was married to a clerk. A petty clerk, a small clerk in the office of the Board of Education. She was simple, but she was unhappy. She was a simple lady. She was a simple girl. But she was unhappy. We'll come to know why. She suffered incessantly, feeling herself born for all delicacies and luxuries. In the beginning only the writer had written, she was born as if through error of destiny into a family of clerks. And she believed in this. She felt that she was born by mistake in this family of clerks. Actually, because of her beauty, the way, that sophistication that was in herself, because of that, she felt that she was born for all the delicacies and luxuries of life. Alright, the richness, the fineness of life. She felt she was born for that. But in the family of clerks, she couldn't get all these things. She suffered from the poverty of her apartment. Poverty, the poor apartment in which the flat where she was living, alright, not very rich apartment, not good looking apartment where she was living, the shabby walls, the dirty walls of the house in which or the apartment in which she was living, and the worn chairs, the chairs which have been used, which have become very old, all those chairs were there in her apartment. She didn't like all that because she thought she was born to enjoy luxuries, enjoy the delicacies of life, enjoy richness. All these things tortured and angered her, and because of this, all the time she was thinking about all this, and she suffered a lot mentally as well as she became very angry. Angry that she has to lead this type of life only because she was born in a family of clerks and now she is married to a petty clerk. Because of that, she has to bear all this. She was all the time unhappy, not happy with her life. When she seated herself for dinner opposite her husband, who uncovered the tureen with a delighted air, saying, "Oh, the good pot pie, I know nothing better than that." So, whenever she and her husband sat for dinner and he would open the utensil, open the dish, alright, the silver colored dish, he would open that. and he would say, "Oh, my favorite, the pot pie, what, nothing is better than this." He would say all this. That time what happened? She would think of elegant dinners of shining silver. She thought of the exquisite food served in marvelous dishes. She would not enjoy that dinner with her husband, but she would be sitting and thinking of the dinner in silver plates. Marvelous, wonderful, very tasty, luxurious type of dinner that she could have had if she had been married into a rich family, married to a rich person. So she was all the time unhappy, and while being with her husband also, having dinner also, she would not enjoy that dinner. She would think of other things and she would feel unhappy. She had neither frocks nor jewels, nothing. And she loved only those things. No good dresses she had, no jewelry, and she wanted all that. She loved all that. Alright, she was not understanding that I am in a middle class family, so I have to lead a way according to that. She was not ready to accept that. Alright, and because of that, she was always unhappy. She wanted frocks, she wanted jewels, but nothing was there. She had a rich friend, a schoolmate at the convent, who she did not like to visit. She suffered so much when she returned. She suffered so much, that is, she became more unhappy, more angry about herself when she returned after visiting that friend. Why? Because that friend was rich. And whatever she desired she should have, that friend was having. Because of that, if she visited that friend after coming back from her house, she would feel very bad. So she didn't like to visit her only. She wept for whole days for despair and disappointment. Alright, whole day after coming from her friend's house, she would keep on crying. Alright, thinking about her situation, such a bad, distressed situation she was having. She would be upset by her life. What type of life I am living and what type of life my friend is having. One evening, her husband returned elated, very excited, very happy. He returned home, bearing in his hand a large envelope. And when he came, he had an envelope in his hand. Alright, he was holding that envelope and he was very happy, very excited. Here, he said, here is something for you. So he was very happy and he came and he handed over that envelope to his wife, saying, here, this is for you. She quickly drew out a printed card on which were inscribed these words. Inscribed means written, printed. A card she pulled out of the envelope and something was printed on that. What was it? Let's see. The Minister of Public Instruction and Madame George Rampeno asked the honor of, it is written M means Mr. and MME, Madam Loisel's company, Monday evening, January 18 at the minister's residence. Minister had given an invitation to them. The minister was organizing a party and he has invited Madam and Mr. Loisel to be there for that party. Such a big thing, a minister inviting you at his residence for a party. But what happened? Instead of being delighted as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation spitefully upon the table, murmuring, what do you suppose I want with that? So husband, he came happily. He thought today my wife would be very happy, thinking that, or seeing this invitation, she would be very happy seeing this invitation. But what happened? She threw away the invitation. Alright, and she was very angry. And she started whispering angrily. Alright, spitefully means angrily. She started whispering. She did not like. And she said, what do you suppose I want with that? What am I going to do with this? But my dearie, I thought it would make you happy. You never go out, and this is an occasion, and a fine one. So he said, my dear, I thought this would make you happy. You never go out, and this is a good occasion, good opportunity to be among rich people, among people of high society to enjoy the party. You always wanted this type of thing. You wished for this, and here it is. Everybody wishes one, and it is very select. Not many are given to employees. And he said, everyone wishes to get this opportunity. A few employees get this chance, and even I managed to get this chance. You will see the whole official world there. The whole official world, the high society, people of high post will be there. You will enjoy the company. You will enjoy the party. She looked at him with an irritated eye. Now she gets irritated. She is more angry now and declared impatiently, losing her patience. Till now she was quiet, okay, but now she is losing her patience. What do you suppose I have to wear to such a thing as that? What am I supposed to wear? She asked. What do you think I am going to wear for this party? A party where people of big positions, rich people are coming. What do you suppose me to wear there? What am I going to wear? He had not thought of that. He stammered, he fumbled, he couldn't bring out the words because he didn't think about it. He just got the invitation and he was very happy, thinking that my wife would be very happy. Why? The dress you wear when we go to the theatre, it seems very pretty to me. He said that beautiful dress that you wear to the theatre when we go out, that you can wear. It is very pretty, it is very beautiful. I like it, so you can wear that. He was silent, stupefied in dismay, but he was silent. Means he said these words, he didn't know how to console his wife or say anything, but still he kept silent. He was stupefied, means he was not finding words to explain, or he was thinking how to explain all this, and he was dismayed, that is shocked. He was shocked at the sight of his wife weeping, because she started weeping, and he was shocked at this. When he came from the office or while coming to home, he was thinking that today I'll give this invitation to my wife and she will be very happy. But things are different here. He didn't expect all this. He stammered, "What is the matter? What is the matter?" So he wanted to know, why you are crying? What is the matter? By a violent effort, she had controlled her vexation and responded. Vexation, irritation. She controlled herself and then she responded. She replied in a calm voice, wiping her moist cheeks. Cheeks had become wet because of the tears. She was weeping. She started wiping her cheeks and she said, "Nothing. Only I have no dress and consequently I cannot go to this affair." She said, "Nothing, no problem, no matter. The only problem is that I don't have a dress, and because I don't have a dress, I am not going for this party. Give your card to some colleague whose wife is better fitted out than I." He said, give to one of your colleagues whose wife has better dresses. She will be suited to go to this party. I can't go. He was grieved. He became sad. But he answered, "Let us see, Matilda. How much would a suitable costume cost? Something that would serve for another occasions, something very simple." He said, wait, let me see. Wait. And he asked her, "How much would a good, pretty, beautiful dress cost, which you can use for other occasions also? How much would be the cost of such a dress?" She reflected for some seconds, thinking of a sum that she could ask for without bringing with it an immediate refusal and a frightened exclamation from the economical clerk. So she started thinking, what amount should I tell him? I have to put such an amount that would not bring refusal from him. He should not listen to that amount and get frightened or shocked. Such an amount I have to tell him. So what could that amount be? Because he is an economical clerk, low budgeted, he doesn't have much money. So what amount I should tell him? Finally she said in a hesitating voice, "I cannot tell exactly, but it seems to me that 400 francs ought to cover it." She's thought and thought and thought, and finally, hesitatingly, she didn't know the answer would be a yes or a no. So she said, okay, I cannot tell exactly, but if I have 400 francs, I can manage. He turned a little pale, for he had saved just this sum to buy a gun, that he might be able to join some hunting parties the next summer with some friends who went to shoot larks on Sunday. So when she said 400 francs, his face turned pale. He had that much amount of money with him. He had saved, he had collected that much amount of money because he wanted to buy a gun. His friends used to go for hunting on Sundays. Larks are birds. They used to go hunting birds. So he wanted to join them, so he wanted to buy a gun. For that he had saved 400 francs. Nevertheless, he answered, very well, I will give you 400 francs, but try to have a pretty dress. He said, okay, never mind. I'll give you 400 francs, but see that you get a very pretty dress with that. The day of the ball approached, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, disturbed, and anxious. She bought a dress. The day of the party was coming near and near. But again she was disturbed, again she was anxious, worried, sad. What to do? What happened? Nevertheless, her dress was nearly ready. Her dress was ready, no problem with the dress. Her husband said to her one evening, what is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2 or 3 days. He said, what is the matter with you? What is the problem? For the last 2 or 3 days I am watching you and you have acted very strangely. What happened? And she responded, I am vexed not to have a jewel, nothing to adorn myself with. She said, I am vexed, I am angry, I am annoyed, I am irritated. Because I don't have jewelry to wear with this beautiful dress. How will I decorate myself, adorn myself with a beautiful dress? There should be some jewelry. I don't have. What am I going to do? I shall have such a poverty-stricken look. And she said, if I go without jewelry, it would give me a poverty-stricken look. That is a poor look among rich people. I would prefer not to go to this party. So better I don't go. That is the best thing. Why to get insulted in front of rich people? Instead of that, I will not go for the party. He replied, you can wear some natural flowers. In this season, they look very chic. That is very fashionable, elegant. They look nice. You can wear natural flowers. Flower jewelry you can make. You can wear that. It will be very nice. She was not convinced. She was not going to accept all this. She said no. She replied, there is nothing more humiliating than to have a shabby air in the midst of rich people. She said, nothing can be more insulting than having a poor look among the rich women, rich people. I don't want to have a poor look and get insulted. So I am not going. Then her husband cried out, how stupid we are. Go and find your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you her jewels. He thought and he said, oh, how stupid we are. Very simple. You go to your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you some jewels. She'll give you. She uttered a cry of joy. She cried out in joy. She was very happy. She had not thought of this. It is true, she said. I had not thought of that. She said, yes, it is true. I can go to her. I never thought of this. The next day, she took herself to her friend's house and related her story of distress. She went to her friend's house and she told her all about what was happening and how she has been invited. She wants to go for the party and all the problem that she is facing. Madame Forestier went to her closet, that is the cupboard, took out a large jewel case, brought it, opened it and said, choose my dear. See, such a nice friend. She brought the box containing all her jewelry, kept it there, and said, choose whatever, whichever one you want, you choose, you take. She saw at first some bracelets, then a collar of pearls, then a Venetian cross of gold and jewels of admirable workmanship. So many things, bracelets, alright, necklace, a cross, Venice style cross, and many other jewels which were of very admirable, adorable workmanship, craftsmanship, very different type of things she saw. She tried the jewels before the glass, hesitated, but could neither decide to take them or leave them. She kept on trying and seeing how these jewelry or those jewels looked on her when she put them, how she looked. She wanted to see. She tried one after the other, but she was confused. She couldn't decide which one to take and which one to leave. Then she asked, have you nothing more? Why? Yes. Look for yourself. I do not know what will please you. She said, yes. Look, more I have. You look, I don't know what will please you. Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb necklace of diamonds. A black box, okay, satin shining box. Inside that she discovered a diamond necklace, a very beautiful diamond necklace. Her hands trembled and she took it out. While picking up, her hands kept on shaking. Alright, but she took out. She liked it and she was surprised and all emotions were coming in her. She placed it about her throat against her dress and was ecstatic. Ecstatic means very, very, very happy, too much happy. She placed it around her neck and she looked at her in the mirror and she was very happy at this. Then she asked in a hesitating voice, full of anxiety, thinking she was worried that I'll ask and will she say no because it is a diamond necklace. Could you lend me this? Only this. I said, could you lend me this? Can you give me this? Only this I want. Why? Yes, certainly. She was a nice friend with Madame Forestier. She said, why not? Take. Certainly you take it. She fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her with passion and then went away with her treasure. And she was so happy. She embraced her friend. She was very happy. Alright. All her emotions of love she showed towards her friend. She was happy and then she took this treasure. It is a treasure for her because it is a very precious thing for her. She took it and went home. The day of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success. Finally that day came. The day for the party. And she was a success. She was so beautiful. That beautiful dress she was wearing, that necklace, she looked very pretty. She was the prettiest of all, elegant, gracious, smiling and full of joy. She was very stylish, very graceful. Alright, all the time smiling because everyone was admiring her. She was happy. She was ecstatic there. She was very excited there. All the men noticed her, asked her name and wanted to be presented. Wanted to be presented means wanted to be introduced to her. The men liked her. She was looking so beautiful, so pretty. Everyone wanted to be presented to her, to be introduced to her in the party, to dance with her. She was such a success in the party. She danced with enthusiasm, intoxicated with pleasure. So she danced and danced with lot of energy. Alright, she lost her senses. Intoxicated means she was lost in the admiration that she was getting from the people there. Thinking of nothing but all this admiration, this victory, so complete and sweet to her heart. She was thinking only of this. She was victorious there. She was successful there. Everyone admired her, everyone praised her, everyone wanted to be with her. She was very happy at this. She went home towards 4 o'clock in the morning. Her husband had been half asleep in one of the little salons since midnight with 3 other gentlemen whose wives were enjoying themselves very much. So she enjoyed at the party. Morning, 4 o'clock, she started for home. Her husband, he was half asleep in one of the rooms. Some other men were also there, whose wives were also enjoying dancing in the party. He threw around her shoulders the modest wrap they had carried, whose poverty clashed with the elegance of the ball costume. Now as they went out, it was cold, so he put a wrap, a shawl around her. And that was a modest, a very simple, a ordinary shawl. And it was in contrast with the dress. The dress, very elegant, very pretty, and this was giving a poor look. She wished to hurry away in order not to be noticed by the other women who were wrapping themselves in rich furs. They were wrapping themselves with clothes or shawls made of fur, expensive material. She had one which was not expensive, which gave her a poverty-stricken look. She didn't want to wear that, and so she wanted to hurry up. She wanted to go away from there. Loisel detained her. Wait, said he. I am going to call a cab. He said, her husband, she was hurrying up because she didn't want other women to see what she was wrapping her with. So she was hurrying up. So her husband said, wait, I'll get a cab, I'll get a taxi. But she would not listen and descended the steps rapidly. She would not listen to her husband. She started coming down the step very fast. When they were in the street, they found no carriage, and they began to seek for one, hailing the coachman whom they saw at a distance. They didn't find a carriage. Alright, to carry them. A cart pulled by the horse. They didn't find anything. And wherever they saw any coachman coming, they would shout at that person, they would call him, but they didn't get one. They walked along toward the river, hopeless and shivering. So they started walking. They had lost hope that they will get a carriage, and they were shivering because of the cold. Finally, they found one of those old carriages that one sees in Paris after nightfall. It took them as far as their door, and they were wearily up to their apartment. Wearily means very tired. They reached the apartment. It was all over for her. And on his part, he remembered that he would have to be at the office by 10 o'clock. For her, the party was over, everything over. Now don't know when she'll get another chance like this. But for him, he has to go to sleep. And 10 o'clock he has to reach his office. She removed the wraps from her shoulders before the glass for a final view of herself in her glory. She removed the wraps. She wanted to see once again how pretty I am looking. Alright, and then what happened? Suddenly she uttered a cry. She cried out loudly. Suddenly, her necklace was not around her neck. She didn't find her necklace. It was not there. Not around her neck. That beautiful diamond necklace which she had borrowed from a friend, that was missing. Loisel, already half undressed, asked, "What is the matter?" So she cried out loudly. And Loisel, he was changing his dress. He said, "What is the matter?" She turned towards him excitedly. I no longer have Madame Forestier's necklace. The words were not coming. She was so shocked. She said, "I lost Madame Forestier's necklace. I am not finding. I don't have." He arose in dismay. He was shocked. What is this? What? How is that? It is not possible. He said, "Not possible." And they looked in the folds of the dress. That is, they shook the dress and saw if it is there somewhere. In the folds of the cloak, that is the wrap which she was wearing, in the pockets, everywhere. They could not find it. He asked, "You are sure you still had it when we left the minister's house?" He asked, "Are you sure? When we left the minister's house, was it there? Was it around your throat?" "Yes, I felt it as we came out." He said, "Yes, I felt it. I touched it. I felt it. But if you had lost it in the street, we should have heard it fall. It must be in the cab." He said, "No chance of losing it in the street, because if it fell in the street, we would have heard. So, chance is there that we lost it in the cab." "Yes, it is possible. Did you take the number?" So she said, "Yes, it is possible. Have you got the number of that cab?" "No. And you? Did you notice what it was?" He said, "No, I don't have. But did you notice?" She said, "No." They looked at each other, utterly cast down. Finally, Loisel dressed himself again. No other way. He has to go searching now. Poor man. Again he dressed himself up. "I am going," he said. over the track where we went on foot to see if I can find it. He said, okay, I am going again. I'll go and find. I'll go and search. Let me see if we can find. Let me find out. And he went. She remained in her evening gown, not having the force to go to bed. He went. And she remained in the evening gown. She didn't change because she was not ready to go to bed. How can she go to bed? She has lost her diamond necklace. Towards 7 o'clock, her husband returned. He had found nothing. He went to the police and to the cab offices and put an advertisement in the newspapers offering a reward. Alright, he went to the cab offices, he informed the police, put an advertisement in the newspaper about this. Anyone who finds will get a reward. She waited all day in the state of bewilderment, that is confusion, before this frightful disaster. She didn't know what she will be doing. This is a great disaster that had happened. Loisel returned in the evening, his face pale. He had discovered nothing. He didn't find anything. We'll stop here for today, and in the next video we'll continue with this chapter. Take care.